Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Let's Get Printing podcast. I'm your host, Zach Dewhurst, the Business Development Manager at DecoNetwork. With us this week is Leah Grubb from Green Bull Printing. Leah is what I consider a true expert at efficiently launching websites for her clients. And one thing I think that she does very intelligently is she targets who she wants to work with. Leah comes from the automotive repair industry, so her clients revolve around the automotive repair industry. This allows us to speak the language that they need and be able to essentially service their needs from an apparel side just much more efficiently because she knows what that industry needs. So today we're going to talk about why you should consider really targeting who you work with so you can have efficient conversations and get the most out of the relationship, as you might be leaving money on the table because you don't know all of the needs your clients have. And when you're working with one industry, it gets repetitive and allows you to get the most out of the relationship. Before we dive into today's podcast, let's talk about the awesome software DecoNetwork, the all-in-one shop management and e-commerce platform that allows you to do everything from, again, one platform. You have the front-end websites with an online design tool and integration with our apparel suppliers, including live inventory and purchase ordering capabilities. That allows our customers to generate live quotes and orders through the site. We can provide sites to our clients, whether they want an ordering portal or fundraising or a merch store, which we're going to talk about today. And then third, we have an order management system where all these quotes and orders flow into, and it keeps everyone really organized. Visit DecoNetwork.com today and see for yourself why you should be using the game-changing software to manage your shop. How's it going, Leah?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good. Leah, we met, around 6-8 months ago. You signed up for DecoNetwork software. I know you had a lot of online stores on Shopify, and you were looking for kind of that platform where you didn't have to pay for so much hosting, or you didn't have to use one site, and wanted to provide those individual sites to your clients, whether they want to sell merch or they just need an ordering portal. And be straightforward, you are someone who ran with the software quicker than most. And I think, first, I'm biased. I think the software is very logical, but what you show is if you fully invest yourself and you adapt to change, a lot of great things can happen. It just, change wasn't easy. And what I took away with working with you, I am a serial entrepreneur, and I see an opportunity and I get distracted and I'm like a squirrel chasing a nut, just like, what the heck? And, when it came to stores, I was 20 years old when I found DecoNetwork, and you could have these stores, and all of a sudden I started going through my brand. Well, I'll create a brand and a store for this and that and that. And before you know it, you just spread yourself too thin. And then you go back to, well, I'll provide stores. Well, when you provide a store to a school versus this type of business versus a hospital, they're very different needs of each type of client. And what I really learned from working with you, Leah, was, hey, focus on an industry. Find your target market. I mean, we all have target markets, but then before you know it, you realize this is a shotgun target market of just spraying everywhere. We want to, be very specific. So, Leah, talk to us about our warehouse, what that's all about, and what your philosophy is with, again, providing stores, because that is something that is very big in your business.
Yeah. So our warehouse really is supporting our automotive industry clients with an easy way to get their clothing at on-demand manufacturing. So online stores and on-demand manufacturing, I think, go pretty hand in hand. And it all started from a personal need as well. So being in the automotive industry, purchasing the apparel from traditional screen printing companies and having a lot of different complaints and ways I think I could be doing it better, launched into this, which I think is how every startup probably starts.
Yep.
But with focusing on one industry, and I feel you. I have the same exact, I think every day I think of, oh, I could be like doing this like retail product, or I could maybe like go into this industry. And that's all coming from, I used to be a startup marketer. I know all the different industries out there, and I'm just all over the place. And every day I'm like focus in. we we support, one industry and maybe a few outside of that, but the best use case I have a story right now where we have a softball team out in Minnesota that wants to work with us. And we have done a local swim team as well, and they're very seasonal. They come in during their season and then they're gone. We don't see them for the rest of the year. So sometimes that's fine. But then, with this softball team, they're coming in and they want earrings and lawn chairs and sandals. And I'm just like, we do t-shirts and hoodies, and they want individualized stickers. So every team member can get like their team number and name on one sticker. I'm like, it'd be like $10 a sticker, but I mean, it is doable. But, just because something is doable doesn't mean that you should do it. Because of the amount of time and effort and the products that you're sourcing. So by focusing on one niche, and I think I see this advice is said all the time in Facebook groups. Everyone, like a new company starting out, they're asking established business owners, what's your best advice for someone starting out like me? And a lot of them are always find your niche, find your specialty.
Yep.
And that doesn't always mean specialize in screen printing or specialize in embroidery. It's specializing in a certain industry and a business, because everyone out there buys what we sell. And that amount of choice and that amount of options is paralyzing. And I think that goes for the same thing with even getting set up on Deco, with the amount of features and the amount of things that you could kind of start with. And that can paralyze you into not getting set up with that. But with specializing in a certain industry, over time, you start to learn their needs. Or if you've ever seen a comment on Facebook that says, what's the best t-shirt for power washing companies? And people are putting their recommendations in there. Once you have that one recommendation, you can go to another power washing company and say, your competitor down the street loves this shirt. And let me tell you, everyone in the same industry just kind of compares and copies with their neighbors.
Why not?
And the best way to sell a t-shirt or the best way to sell a product is to say, hey, your peers across the country are using these t-shirts and these hoodies. Oh, and our service too. And that's kind of your way in. And that's what we found success with, and just niching down and staying very specific in being able to offer very specialized solutions, i.e. the t-shirts, the hoodies, the pens, the air fresheners, and other promotional products, and the service. So being able to offer the story that goes along with that solution and how that product's used in other shops. So it's not just a t-shirt at the end of the day that we're selling them.
Exactly. You're not an order taker. You provide a service. I've always said I don't sell really products. I'm not in the business of buying and reselling blank. I'm in the business of decorating and providing a service. And with our industry, one of the best and worst things are the barriers of entry. It takes nothing these days but a heat press, and even you don't even have to have that. And it's something I love. But what does that mean? Our competition, at any point, that Cricket Mom can come off the street and they have a relation, every one of those automotive shops, I bet, has a niece or a wife, somebody in their network.
Oh yeah, we've definitely had clients
has, like thinking, I'm thinking about getting in the t-shirt game. I mean, it's almost the cliche industry. What differentiates you from them? And it's the service. It's being able to relate and communicate with them. Something I learned from UK clients around a year ago. So again, I love working with shops throughout the whole world, because the industry is the same on every continent. It shocked me. I didn't think that there would be such similarities, but the Australian users, UK, American, we all are very similar, but there's a lot of different business models and everything out there. But one thing that I really learned from the UK market last year was how to communicate products based on industries. So let's, Leah, I love what you do. You have our warehouse, and you have your other brand. What's your other brand? Greenbolt Printing? Okay, so Leah did what I did. Great minds think alike. Nice. But I have Creative Customizing. That is my local custom t-shirt printing brand. But then when I do stores and so forth, I try to white label them and be more of a print partner. And I have print phase. So if you're going to sign up for one of my sites, it's going to be whatever you want.printphase.com until you use your own domain name. Similar how you do like our warehouse. But like Greenbolt Printing, you do custom jobs, and it is beyond just the automotive industry. Is that correct?
Yes, I would say
Or is it?
80 to 90% is automotive, but then we do have a few retail clients. We have landscaping and kind of almost like cousin industries in the trades, I would
I
say.
like how you put that. It's like a cousin industry
Yeah.
because it is. It's like a. I mean, again, what you're specializing in is kind of like the physical labor and so forth
Hmm.
because they both like Cornerstone. They both like Carhartt. They're
Hmm.
not wearing Bella Canvas thin
Hmm.
T-shirts necessarily. But what I was just kind of getting at there was, if somebody were to come to your custom T-shirt printing website, the traditional way to have a customer navigate products is by category: T-shirt, sweatshirt, hoodie, polo. That makes sense. But there
Hmm.
are a lot of T-shirts. There are lightweight, thin, soft, which is what I love. But
Hmm.
that contractor, that automotive worker, wants something that's going to be rugged and hold up and so forth. So it's a different type of T-shirt we put in front of the customer. So what I've been doing over the past year is, hey, shop by category: T-shirts, sweatshirts, polos, hats. But now let's actually make some individual landing pages for the different industries we focus on, and let's populate those pages with products and brands that are relevant to that type of customer. So I have like, you can have safety wear apparel, and
Hmm.
your construction clients could find it, for example, or I could build a custom construction apparel page and already populated on there with all the safety wear. And then again, hey, you don't always wear high vis maybe in this, so here's some Cornerstone and Carhartt stuff that I think you're going to like. So whether it be custom or in your case, when it comes to stores, I think building product mixes for different industries, it just makes everything so much more turnkey for everybody.
Hmm.
They're not having to navigate. You're not. It's worth taking the time to put that mix together, and it does take a little bit of time. You probably had to order samples and do
Oh,
some
yeah.
things, but you now know how to make those perfect suggestions to your customers. And again, I'll go back to what I just said.
Mhm.
I bet they're not wearing a lot of Bella Canvas next level shirts. Those are nice shirts, but
Well, they
that's
do
not
like
what
the
that
next
industry.
level.
They
But
do like next
that's
level.
an exact conversation I would have is we have technicians, so the people more in the trade, and
Yep,
then we have
yep,
service. And
yep,
that's kind of similarly it goes with those cousin industries where you have the people out there doing the landscaping and then the people doing more of the corporate sales and the office
yep.
gear. So but we would still have a conversation. I just actually had one where they were like, do we want to do the 100% cotton or the 50-50 t-shirts? And what do your other clients do? Because they know that we mainly work with their peers. We work with auto shops in their state. We work with auto shops in their kind of climate region. And so we can offer that specialized advice saying, like, out of all of our clients, probably the majority use 100% cotton. And then maybe 25% use the 50-50. And then your store is actually very unique in that you use performance gear. And so kind of being able to point out what people within their area, people within their region, people within their industry are using,
Yep.
they can compare and they almost make a decision based off of that. And then they don't need to see that there's 25 different types of 50-50 t-shirts that are
Yep.
structurally all the same, but once they see all of that, they don't want to go through all there. That's not their job. That's our job to be able to say, pick between 100%, 50-50, or 100% polyester. And once you bring it down to three, they just pick one, or we say, this is the most popular within your industry. Everyone just goes with that, and the decision's done. The decision's made. If they even want to like decide between the t-shirts, most of the time they don't even want to decide. They just have us decide, or they look at another store within their area. Like we have a shop that has we're working with a client that is neighboring with another client, like literally not even a mile down the road. And they said, just like copy their store and put our logo on all of their same stuff because we'll just wear the same stuff if they're doing it. Because to them, that's who they look up to within the industry. And they kind of want to become that company as well. So now with Deco, we would just copy their store
You
and add
just
their
clone
logo.
that site and just swap that logo in it on
Yeah.
at once, and boom, done. Um,
Done.
and again, like you're the automotive industry. So what I like, you came from it, and I always think this is a
Hmm.
great strategy because a really great client of mine, she's a former nurse. She understands the healthcare industry. I
Yeah.
can't go in there and talk the same language as them. Being able to just communicate. That's why, when I consult, what makes me different than a tech? Because I have a print shop and I can speak the language that's
Exactly.
important with you in addition to the software. So, um, yeah, it's again like automotive. Are people aren't going to stop driving cars?
Hmm.
They're gonna be all over. That industry's going nowhere.
Hmm.
It's huge again, and you're not really cap. Oh yeah, you could cap yourself with, I don't know, thousands of dealerships and mechanic shops. So when we
Hmm.
talk automotive, we're talking about a pretty broad industry. Are we talking about dealerships? Tire
Hmm.
shops? Is it everybody under the sun is related to cars?
We are just focused on the repair industry, so not the dealerships at the time, but
Okay.
dealerships are kind of in that focus. But we, even for being similar, like I mentioned with the cousin industries, even with landscaping, there's still different needs and a different service you can provide them. So with landscaping, you think the tradesmen will have very similar needs, but one of the main issues is that there is a bit more of a revolving door with that labor force. So the shirts that we're currently pricing them at is just not economical for that industry. So they're more interested in still the traditional bulk, having them on hand and just kind of tossing them out when they're
Yep.
needed versus on demand for another industry. And so even if they're very similar structurally, business wise, they could be have completely different needs, and you have to service them with a different story or a different way to support that specific need. So
Well,
dealerships are going to be a little bit different because they're mostly in office wear, and most of their needs are actually going to be more on the promotional product end, so like license
exactly.
plates
Yep.
or pens and the giveaways and things like that over apparel. Because I don't know the last time you went to a dealership and they gave you a free T-shirt. That's
Nope,
just
nope. I actually bought a car a week and a half ago. I pushed it
nothing.
off for as long as I could, and I'll be honest, I was a little disappointed when I didn't get some type of promo product when I bought it. All I got was the license plate with the dealership's name on it already on the
Yeah,
car, and it's like,
those are standard.
I get that, but it's like, yeah, and I get that. Hey, you can't. I don't want one. I think T-shirts, to be honest, are a bad promo product. Why?
Hmm.
They require to know the customer
Their
size.
size.
You love going to sporting events. What are they doing at it? They're shooting out of the cannon an extra large T-shirt. Do you wear
Hmm.
an extra large? Because I don't, Leah, and that doesn't do us any good.
Yeah.
Versus again, drinkware, and there's all types of promo products, which just kind of brings us into when it comes to stores, they're used for a lot of things. And what I think a lot of people think initially when it comes to sites, and if you're newer to the industry, you start thinking, I'm going to give these sites to everybody, and everybody's going to go make all these sales. And it's just not the case.
Hmm.
What more sites are used for, at least on DecoNetwork, are ordering portals. How
Yep.
can we make life easier for both us and our client? Everybody wins. And
Hmm.
the thing is, you already have a client that's already spending money. It's not like we're going to go chase something and hope that it works, because that's what it
Hmm.
can be a lot of the times. Like, you get that on the graphic designer, it's like, I've got great artwork, and if you just print it for me, we can be great, but I need you to build the site for me. Because again, they're not building sites. You think the mechanics or even the people in the office, you think they want to build their own store?
No.
No, they need to contact Aaliyah to do it. And yeah, it's uh, the I lost my train of thought, Leah. But
And I mean, well, that's where we started with like the ordering portal, because when I was ordering the t-shirts for the shops as a marketing admin, um, my emails were like 3 pages long because you could either email or call, and I'm, a young millennial. Calling is not my favorite thing to do
yeah,
in the world. And even then, it's like I just feel like the conversation goes in 30 seconds and I don't think I had all the details confirmed. So I'd much rather have a paper trail personally. But the email would be like 3 pages long. I vividly remember it because I would have my size and quantity distribution tables per product. I'd have them mocked out too because they didn't give me proofs, which was very weird. And then But for each one, because I was managing multiple locations, under it, I did ghost text. So when you make the text super small, but then turn it white, so you can only see it when you highlight. So I can look back on the email and see, okay, of these 30 extra large t-shirts, 10 are going to this location, 10 are going to that. And then 2 of those 10 go to this person. And so it had to get that detailed. Maybe I was doing too much work. Maybe I was just being overly detail oriented, but it was very cumbersome. Plus the spreadsheet of keeping track of everyone's sizes versus, and that's why we built out online stores so that even the technician could just go on and do it. They could have their gift certificate, go online and replace their one t-shirt or get their new t-shirts for that new hire. And the manager doesn't have to do it, or the owner doesn't have to do it. So the second you can say, this is time off of your plate, you just have the store put up the link on a piece of paper in the boardroom, break room, and then it's done. And so simplifying the ordering process was the main purpose of kind of building out the company. And then also the main purpose in the stores, it's always kind of our number one priority of how can we simplify the ordering process so that it is just less time on anyone's hands, whoever's in charge.
I mean, I think selling branded merch is when the customer's paying to market your company. And that is the greatest thing that you ever could get. How I got started in the industry is my best friend in high school, his dad owns a restaurant and now my friend runs it. But they were featured on the Travel Channel and Food Network several times, and they would have a several hour wait. And if you're going to wait several hours to eat, you may get a souvenir because you're literally standing next to the display case. Here's all these t-shirts we're selling. And it makes sense. And what would happen is they're paying to market the company. And then it's a walking billboard. I mean, it is the ultimate situation. Restaurants are one of the only few. I mean, I just don't see that many people wanting to actively pay to buy just anything. I mean, again, I could have a great experience getting an oil change. I really don't want to buy a t-shirt and wear that. It's not the same as I really like eating here. So that's where, again, I think I wish I had some hard statistics, but I can guarantee you more sites on DecoNetwork are used to make life easier by making it a password protected site, which is what makes something an ordering portal. I mean, that's literally it. Password protected becomes an ordering portal. And what's really cool with DecoNetwork is you can decide who's picking up the tab. Is it the employee paying for all of it? Part of it is the employer, and having that all become automated. You don't charge for websites, is that correct, or do you?
We do not charge for websites. It's a kind of a all-inclusive service we try and offer. The second I see myself saying it's this extra for a fee, for artwork fee or setup or maintenance, I hate that. So
I personally hate it. That goes back to the theory, because again, I love to ask this question because there's a lot of different opinions, but it just depends on what you're doing. If it's an ordering portal, you're not hoping for anything, and you don't have to charge. In my opinion, you're stupid to charge. But if it is going to be, that restaurant that thinks they're going to sell all this merch, and they're not actually ever placing orders, they've never placed an order with us or proven that they have the demand necessarily, that's when you may want to charge for it, just to make sure they're doing their job, which is they only have one job, and that is to send customers to the site. In your case, that is just to send the employees to the site to place the orders. It's like the employees are required to do it versus customers of a restaurant aren't required to go there and buy something. So just very different. And how much time might you put into a site? Roughly. I know it depends on the client, how many products or so forth, but just can you give us a ballpark? How much time might you put into it? And what percentage of the time is there an ROI? Are 95% of the shops that you build, you're never like, well, that was a waste of time? How do you feel? Because that becomes the case when you work with anybody and you're not charging. That 80-20 rule exists. 80% of my revenue are coming from 20% of my sites. It really becomes like 95-5. But
Hmm.
I think when you're doing, it's probably nowhere near that way. Is
Yeah,
that
so I
fair?
think, our model with, there's no setup fee, there's no maintenance, all of that kind of all-inclusive model works for us because I guess the traditional leads that we get are very qualified.
Very
So
cool.
we have not done, other than trade show marketing, we don't do like paid ads or paid media, and we don't really get that much coming just like off the street, what I would like to say, or just coming into the contact form and interested in a store or something like that. It's all typically referrals from people that love what we do, and then they're talking to other, again, people in their industry, their neighbors, and it just comes up in conversation. They're like, we just want to use you guys. Like, there's no question about it. They just want to get set up. So they're already not even like warm leads; they're very hot leads. So it works in that regard. Um, but to parse it out and maybe charge them, or it depends on kind of on the amount of things that we're building out for them. But for certain stores, because they're not getting super crazy with fashion items or like really custom placements, I could, on the minimum end, I'm spending 15 minutes building out a store, maximum end, maybe an hour building out a store. And again, it all works out because in my head, I know exactly the t-shirts or the items. And it's not even like for a template store, I don't even have a template catalog I'll build out. I'm just adding them from memory because I've added them for all these other stores at the same time. And they'll just say, we want t-shirts, polos, hoodies, and I know exactly kind of which options to maybe give them. So it doesn't take that much time. And because all of our leads are very, very warm to just, already ready to buy something within that day, they're all returning on that investment.
No, I mean that's the way to do it. And again, it's keeping it simple. Kiss. I mean,
Hmm.
really, keep it simple. However you want to look at it, but it is true. And again, your customers appreciate it. Like let's just keep this simple. I mean,
Hmm.
they're let's be honest. These aren't brain surgeons, and even a brain surgeon doesn't want something complex most of the
Hmm.
time. Most everybody wants an easy button. Give me the easiest experience,
Hmm.
or in this case, give my employees also the easiest experience because I bet you also communicate to them like, branded merch does a lot more than you may even realize. So
Hmm.
one, it shows off it can build brand awareness with your customers. It can also build brand awareness when your employees are out and about wearing it.
Hmm.
So yesterday, my wife had her 30th birthday. It was a fun party. Her brother's there. Every time I see her brother, he's an electrician. He is always wearing branded merch. And
Hmm.
what he was wearing yesterday was a Champion Crew Network sweatshirt. It's a nice sweatshirt, but guess
Nice.
what? It was, I'm telling you, from a marketing standpoint, I have seen that brand so many times. And I know he
Hmm.
wears it all the time because his employer gave him good merch that he
Hmm.
wants to wear outside of work. And that is incredible. I mean, if you start looking at this is a walking billboard, you really can start to like think of beyond the ROI of I'm just giving my employee something to wear.
Hmm.
Um, and it's also morale. Again, like
Hmm.
it's nice to get good stuff. I'm a big fan of The Office, Leah. I don't know if you ever watched The Office,
Yeah.
but we always, my wife and I love to watch the Christmas episodes. And something I never caught on for the longest time is every season they give them promo products. They get shot glasses, they get robes.
Yeah.
And it's funny, everybody's kind of jealous for the robes. I forget one of the other ones, but it was just Kelly picked out something. It was bad.
Mhm.
But it's just the point of like how happy Toby really wanted the robe, and it was just a great product
Mhm.
that hey, this is nice versus this promo product. What were we thinking getting
Mhm.
this T-shirt? So again, I bet sometimes. Have you found that this market? Again, you brought up like turnover and so forth. I had a
Mhm.
real interesting conversation with Sanmar a few months ago, and they were like, polo sales are down like just in general in our industry, like 5% or so. And
Hmm.
that's a and it was kind of
Mhm.
interesting when he was like bringing up, and it was like, well, why? And it's like, well, there's a lot more turnover with employers, and they
Mhm.
don't want to be spending as much money on a polo and having that employee potentially leave and so forth. So they buy t-shirts, they're cheaper price point, and if the employee leaves, it's not as big of a deal. And if they stick around, we'll
Okay.
get another t-shirt and so forth. So it's interesting. And I mean, again, in every industry, I think we now do hurt with labor and everything since COVID. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, like, how long ago did you get started in with our warehouse, Leah? Like, what did kind of, was it literally you saw a need and like, I can fill this?
Hmm. Um, October, like the fall of 2022 is when we pressed our first t-shirt. So we're going on like 3 years now, I guess.
You have like
Prior to
30
that,
years of experience, it feels like, because you get on the Deco Network Facebook group and you're answering questions and making suggestions. And I'm like,
yeah.
gosh, she's really new at this software and 3 years into it. I mean, it's amazing what you can do with just a heat press, isn't it, Leah?
Hmm. Oh yeah, it's definitely amazing. And I can't even imagine, like prior to that, I think I spent like a year just learning the industry. So like all the different decoration methods, all the different t-shirts. I have, I think, a sample rack of over 100 or more. I don't want to think there's more
Yep.
different cotton t-shirts to like tell myself like what is the best t-shirt. And I think there's a few times, like every now and then, that someone asks those questions on like heavyweight t-shirts, soft t-shirts, ounces, or something like that. And I have a whole spreadsheet of every t-shirt, almost every t-shirt. I feel like that is available and all of their
Right.
details comparing them. um, but yeah, it's only been a few years, and I can't even imagine what will kind of go past that. But that was kind of one of the main reasons with getting Deco was just the scaling of the business. So ever since kind of getting implemented, it's just like a completely kind of different world, or how I can treat the business now that there's a way to scale like our online stores and our offerings. Before, we'd be spending a whole day just to get one store set up. So
Yeah,
yeah.
well, and you come from the Shopify world,
Yes.
which, hey, Shopify is a great platform. I mean, nobody's going to put down Shopify,
Mm-hmm.
but there is no order management system behind it for
Mm-hmm.
t-shirt printers, and you have to make all your own mock-ups for it and stuff. It could take a long time and get
Mm-hmm.
expensive. But DecoNetwork's about to have a Shopify integration. So if you ever had that client that is like, I've had the Shopify store for 10 years, I'm not going anywhere. Well, now we can connect it. And that's what that
Yeah.
Shopify integration is for. It's not for, hey, I can do it over here, so let's go ahead and do it over here, because it's still work to bring it
Mm-hmm.
over from Shopify. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but what I'm really fascinated again about your 3 years in business is, again, focus. Now that's what our
Mm-hmm.
conversation is about today. It's like, there's a lot of white noise. There's just, and somebody like myself will like talk about every opportunity under the sun. And I am the most
Yeah.
ADHD person in this industry, because that's what I love. There's so
So
many
much.
ways. There's so many
Yeah.
opportunities, but it's all about focusing. I mean, and that's true with a lot of things in business. If you can focus,
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing. Again, it's like one of the first rules of marketing. Who's your target
Mm-hmm.
market? Don't say everybody. You
Yeah.
have to have a target.
Yeah.
And then, what is your core competencies, or what is your competitive advantage? What do you have on the competition? What is it? Experience goes farther than anything else, in my opinion. If,
Mm-hmm.
when you can say, hey, we've worked with all these other businesses, and something you even brought up, Leah, when I was growing up, I always thought businesses looked at each other like complete enemies. And in
Mm-hmm.
our industry, in the t-shirt world, we all help each other more than even the
Mm-hmm.
local. I mean, it's amazing. Now, we sell DTF transfers to all the local shops.
Mm-hmm.
We're going after the same market to a degree, but there's a lot of business to go around. In the
Yeah.
automotive industry, it sounds like, hey, this dealership, they like dealing with Fords. They hate the Japanese made stuff. And then there's
Mm-hmm.
this automotive mechanics. And they don't really, is that kind of fair? That there's a lot of referrals, I think, in any
Mm-hmm.
industry. Going back to restaurants, they go to events sometimes, and these guys network with each other, or
Mm-hmm.
they talk to one of their reps, for something else, outside of t-shirts, and before you know it, that rep had talked to a different business, like, well, this is what they use. And so, yeah, it seems word of mouth is what I'm getting at. Is that the bulk of where your leads come from?
Yeah.
It's all word of mouth.
I see a lot of on Facebook all the time too of um, essentially how do I get business questions or how do I market my business questions, and um, it's it's both like a terrible answer but the best answer with word of mouth and referrals. I still think this industry is so based on that as a way to get new business. It's just kind of doing what you do well and over time. There's no overnight success and it's just going to take some time there because just like any industry, we all have our different target markets, and whether it's that restaurant industry or whether it's the auto repair industry, and what I've seen and learned, and with our industry as well, we all have those different target markets, which allows us to have plenty of business to go around,
Yep.
right? And even if, you know, there's an embroidery shop right down the road, and I mean, I can walk there in 33 seconds. I counted one time. She is right there, but she specializes more in the gifts, and she has a retail frontage, and people kind of come in to do the one-off more for children and infants, and that's not our business. But so when people come to us, Greenbolt, wanting to get one golf bag done or something done for their kids' soccer team, we send them to her because that's not our niche, and nor do we want to again spend that time on kind of doing that. And I think there's also been some great conversations on like, do you do the one-off t-shirt in hopes that it becomes a 100 t-shirts down the road? But if it's not our industry, and you kind of have to set up those boundaries so that you can really focus on what you're doing, or else it's not going to kind of get done or grow in that area. But most of our stuff is by word of mouth, and just by focusing on doing what we do, doing it well, then those referrals come in time, and it's just kind of having that patience, I suppose, for those.
Yeah. Well, and just to, it makes so much sense why you went after your industry. And one, I think if you're trying to find your target, one, what can you relate to? What do you know yourself really well? So I really wanted to target restaurants for a long time, but I'm too distracted. But I'll be honest, I had a bunch of roommates who worked at restaurants, and hey, I hosted in college at that restaurant just for fun, really, so I could sell more T-shirts. Because they were selling like 100 shirts a week, which was pretty impressive. I'm in college. That was my job. Hey, let's just sell these T-shirts. But I never. I know how to eat at a restaurant, but I've never had to manage one or really, really worked at one. So I couldn't relate. So one, if you're going to try to find that target market and do something like our warehouse, Greenbolt Printing did, is one, what do you know? What are you passionate about? What can you relate to? If you're a sports nut, then try to work with the Parks and Rec department or sports teams. If you really think that you understand all the different types of jerseys and that's your market. But you also, you need to think about, I think in the back of your mind, how big is this market? How big is each one of my potential clients? So an auto repair business, how many employees does an average client really have in that industry or that niche?
So there's even a kind of a differentiation within industries once you get in them, which, like schools and healthcare, they take up 50% of the promotional product market, which includes apparel. And then all the other industries and the entirety of the business world take up everything else. And automotive is actually I think second or third to the bottom. And then other. Actually, I think other is more because it encompasses so many random things. But automotive is a tiny, tiny, tiny slice of the entirety of promotional product industry. But then even within that industry, within automotive, you have, and again, this is things that you really only learn once you're kind of in that niche, and you learn that the needs of a single shop or a multi-shop is different. So where I came from was a multi-shop where there's more than one store and more than one store across state lines, versus a single shop, which sometimes especially in rural America, could be one technician and one manager. So two people. And still our services can support them because you're not going to be able to reach 24 shirt minimums. I mean, you could, and then you have shirts for every day for a month for one person, for those two people, up to, multi-location, where we have a shop that has 10 locations in Colorado and then another like 10 locations in Arizona. So they're split across these huge state lines. Now you're wondering about logistics, and now you can service them on that, where there's no way they're driving. At least when we were first doing it, we could drive the t-shirts from PA to New Jersey to our other shops, but Colorado to Arizona, that's a that's not at all what needs to happen. And there's even more, where there's shops that they have locations up in the Northwest, and then all the way down in Texas. Like there's no rhyme or reason sometimes to where these multi shops are opening up, and then sometimes even they aren't under the same brand. So you could acquire a new automotive shop, and then it's not under Jim's Auto Repair, it's now under Jesse's Auto Repair, and they're gonna have two different brands, and they're gonna have two different t-shirt designs, and they're gonna have everything has to be
Great.
different, but they all need to be on the back end admin and managed the same. So even within the industry, whether it's automotive or healthcare or school, they're all going to have different needs, because I think like your travel sports teams are probably going to be different than your like youth
Yep.
intramural
Yep.
leagues, or healthcare. You obviously have your scrub personalization, but maybe dental is going to be completely different from primary care. Or then you have the administrative levels of it all, and then you have Penn Medicine is huge near me, and we work with them on a few things, but what their dentists in training need is vastly different from what their practicing doctors need, and they just kind of want some fun gifts every now and then. So they're
Yep.
completely different, even when they're in the same industries. And you can only kind of learn that stuff once you pick one and you focus on them and you start learning all those different kind of nuances.
And you, again, when you're focused, that two-person shop isn't as big of a headache, because you're not letting them dictate what's all going on, what products we
Mhm.
can offer, and all that. You've already kind of slimmed it down and made it as turnkey as possible. Obviously, you want the bigger clients, but you
Mhm.
really, with as long as they're that hot lead, they're qualified, they want this, you really don't care, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes maybe they, you never know what it leads to.
Mhm.
Um, Businesses get acquired, and that's sometimes a good thing, because the company acquiring them all of a
Mhm.
sudden needs this stuff, and now they know where to go.
Mhm.
Um, so again, you deal with everything then, it sounds like. Is that right, as far as repair size shop?
Yeah, about pretty much any size that kind of comes to us. So, yeah.
Well, again, like you want, what I've always said, if you were going to do retail on a website, so like your traditional, and I forget how you stated it there, Leah, but you didn't call it print on demand. You almost did. But even POD, it's kind of confusing to a lot of consumers.
Mhm.
Sanmar threw a term out there at me, and they really want to use this, but they don't think anybody's going to jump on board. But I'm
Mhm.
so pro Sanmar, we're going to start pushing it. We call it decorating on demand. One, print on demand sounds too much about print, but then we kind of make these assumptions. Somebody's going, you know, they launched a store on Shopify, then you've got this Printify person drop shipping it from there. And to me, decorating on demand is just drop ship fulfilling orders as they come in. And that's what
Mhm.
you're doing with this. And
Mhm.
it's kind of funny, because you mentioned this before. Your clients probably, sometimes do they place those bulk orders, or do they
Oh, yeah.
like the flexibility? Is it a combination of both?
Yeah, so I think that helps in what helps is how that we're both a, custom apparel decorator and promotional product distributor. So when the time and the permits, and the cost kind of dictates that we contract out a job, for kind of bulk orders. So, right, for example, we had 150 sweatshirts, and we only have a single head embroidery. And this design takes 30 minutes to stitch out. And there's no way that was getting done in the time that they needed and at the cost that they needed it done at. So that was contracted out. Um, so those bulk orders, especially around the holiday season when they're getting these gifts for all of their team, that becomes a conversation. But then those bulk orders still definitely happen. Like a bunch of backpacks as well. We did those in shop, whereas the hoodies we didn't do in shop. And for our retail clients, it definitely comes in more bulk orders because they get a whole size spread for their stores. But we, you know, this past year we implemented, shipping is included in every order. So we do get orders where it's literally one polo or one t-shirt or one jacket, but that's the entire premise of what we sell to them, where it's so easy to get exactly what you need, quite literally exactly what you need when you need it. And removing, that shipping addition to it just made it more easy on them for admin to always be able to budget and know what something's going to cost. Unless,
Yep.
of course,
There's
the
no
price.
such thing as free shipping. You're paying for it
There is.
somewhere.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, as a consumer, it's crazy
Mhm.
how it feels. It tricks me. I go into
There's
Kohl's.
so many
Everything's
studies.
on sale. It tricks me every time. It's like, no, it's not. That's the actual price it's supposed to be. But again, but Leah, you bring out so many great points. Uh, but what I really love there, though, that you brought up was stores are huge. Everybody loves stores are just keep going up. POD keeps going up.
Mhm.
But when you can offer the promo distributor asset at the same time,
Mhm.
because one, I think you're like me. I would rather get 100 single piece t-shirt orders than 100 t-shirt order. And why do I say that? Because it's a lot of people, that's crazy. Because I make a lot more money off of
Mhm.
those individual shirts. I mean, a
Mhm.
lot better margins.
Mhm.
And I don't want to look at it this way because this sounds like I'm not competent, but there's a lot less pressure on an individual piece order. Something
Mhm.
goes wrong. Anything goes wrong with that. It's an easy replacement
Yes.
fix and so forth. There's not much risk. It's not
Yeah.
that 10,000 piece order, then you realize, oh crap, there's a misspelling in there.
Oh
Well,
gosh.
it was really on you to catch, and it's just like
Mhm.
it's just a lot easier, but you need that flexibility. And
Mhm.
what do you use for your contract? Are you on ASI or Sage? What is your how do you do
Mhm.
contract work?
We're currently with ASI, and then we use. I tend to favor more like local decorators, like contract
Love it.
decorators in my
Yes,
area.
yes. Because
So.
you're not treated like a number. It's
Mhm.
weird because again, this is where I see the industry going and where I'm trying to push things, but I love it again, Lee. I love what you said there though.
Mhm.
You don't feel as much like a number when you outsource to someone locally. It feels a
Mhm.
little bit better, right? Now, I can't
Mhm.
just get pens, you know, done by anybody down the street. That's where I've got to use the ASI network. So
Yep.
sorry for cutting you off, but is that kind of the strategy? If it's a hard good product, I'm really using the ASI tools to find that perfect person. But if I have a bigger embroidery order that's outside of my skill, and again, you hit it perfectly, Leah, because I really stress this to Deco themselves, is like, you don't always outsource jobs when you don't have that equipment. You could have the equipment for the job, but you don't
Oh
want to
yeah.
tie that equipment up.
Mhm.
So,
You have to
uh,
know what your shop's capacity is, and this order would exceed our capacity. I mean, it could, I mean, if they wanted to work a day and a night shift to get it done, again, it just wouldn't be at capacity. And our typical, anytime we're evaluating if it should be done in-house or out of house, even if we did have the capacity, if the time permitted and the cost and the margins were more favorable to outsource, then we would, because we have a trusted partner we could do that with. And then that leaves kind of capacity open in our shop to bring in more volume to do other things. So there's kind of that. I forget what the name of that is. It's not.
well, your
um,
customer doesn't care if you even do the decoration or not. All they
mhm,
care
as
is the
long as it looks good.
quality. And
Yeah.
you are still doing just playing the middleman role. No, you had to hold the customer's hand and you had to make sure this guy over here is getting the job done correctly, but your customer doesn't care. At the end of
Mhm.
the day, Leah, there's only one stat that matters. It's like I'm a big sports fan. Really, there's only one stat wins. All these other stats are cool, but there's really only one thing that matters: wins.
Mhm.
When it comes to doing business, I think revenue is the most overrated term of all time. Tell me what your income, what's a profit? That's what we
Mhm.
want to know.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you what, I often would rather make less money with a lot less headache or a lot.
Mhm.
I,
Yeah.
something that took me through my
Yeah.
20s, like I want to do this myself. No, It's good to
Yeah.
outsource.
I didn't want to do 150 sweatshirts with metallic thread
Oh
between
no, not with metallic
Christmas
either. No.
and New Year's. I was like, I'm taking a break. Another shop can do that. And they actually called, they were having issues with it. And we do it one at a time, and that's fine. But they were calling and they were having issues with the metallic thread, and then they had to recalibrate like their machines to do it. I'm like, at least you figured it out because it's not on me.
I haven't gone near metallic thread since I got my new machine, but I just recently bought a Happy Japan from Texmac that has
Hmm.
auto tension and
Hmm.
auto presser foot adjustment. It's actually digital, so it can read,
Okay.
and it makes something like that metallic all of a sudden not an issue. So anybody
Yeah.
out there, I tell you, spend a couple grand more on the digital tools, and all of a sudden you can take any embroidery order, any type of thread, and be like, no problem, we got
Hmm.
it. 'Cause, yeah, it's technology. Good things happen. And again, going back to kind of how we got on this little tangent again, it's good to have, if you still are focusing on stores or ordering portals, you still should have contract capabilities set up
Hmm.
so that when that customer comes to you and they do want to place a larger order, they're not going to get the sticker shock, because you, if they want 150 sweatshirts, you need to price it like a 150 piece order.
Yeah.
But when it's like 50 employees going on there buying one at a time, I may not look at it that way. It just
Hmm.
depends. Almost, and with Deco, you can do production a couple different methods. I could have it on demand. Order comes in, let's get it out as quickly as possible. Or we gather orders over a period of time. And if I know what this client is going to potentially sell, maybe I'll set them up with better pricing and base it around what we think they'll sell over that time frame. What is your strategy, Leah?
For pricing?
Yep. So when you're going to price that for the website, do you ever consider how much they might sell when you're coming up with their price, or is it just on the assumption, hey, I don't care how many you're going to buy at the end, this is the one piece price?
Yeah. Yeah, no. And I've seen this too where people will be talking about companies come to me and they want to buy shirts at wholesale because they need to resell it to their customers. So what should I change my pricing to them? And the comments always, why are you changing your pricing to fit their pricing needs? Like, you're your own company and they're their own company. So if your price doesn't fit their price, then you guys aren't a fit.
Yep.
So we don't really we actually have one auto company who does sell stuff at retail. They have a nice, like, more retail design that's minimally branded, and they sell that on a separate, like, retail site versus their more uniforming and internal ordering needs. Um, but none of that and none of the other stores are priced considering, oh, you guys are going to be reselling it, we'll lower our cost to that, because no, these are the cost it takes to make it. Because one, we don't mark up the garments, our cost kind of is always calculated in just um
Decoration.
our decoration price. Yeah, we don't do any, like, of the, there was too much math for me. um but
Well, your
so
hard work is in the decorating. That is your skill. And
mhm,
most people actually know what these shirts cost nowadays. I mean, somebody
mhm,
out there will sell you a Gildan t-shirt for under $3 without having an account of any
mhm,
kind. I mean,
yeah.
you can do it.
So so no, we don't price it differently. We don't do bulk discounts until we reach, a quantity of 50, and that's 5% to start. And really until we get to quantities of like 250 or more, there's like a traditional discount.
And but what I find fascinating, and this is what I think we love and customers love,
Hmm.
we would rather sell those individual orders.
Hmm.
They would rather have the flexibility and pay a little bit more, in my experience,
Exactly.
versus having to make the upfront investments, sit on inventory, have to hand
Hmm.
things out. It's even with like fundraising for sports teams. It's very similar. Back in the day,
Hmm.
what did we get? We all got, that piece of paper. Now go around and get a bunch of orders. And
Hmm.
then we'd hand it in, and we got a better rate because we all bought it at once. But there was just so much extra work that you just kind of like forget your time is worth something.
Hmm.
And so that's what's interesting. Again, that's the decorating on demand. And I think over the past 5 so years, consumers have gotten really used to this concept. And I bet when you approach an auto repair, they don't think immediately anymore. Oh, do I got to buy 50 of these? They probably understand more, even if they haven't done this before. I can get these one at a time, right? Just because I think as an industry, I mean, DTF, customers have started to learn, well, this isn't all about counting colors anymore. I mean, those conversations are different than they were 15 years ago. So does that sound about right?
Yeah, I mean the benefits of on-demand, I think I said on-demand manufacturing,
Yes. It's
is
decorating on demand.
yeah. I mean that's one of I think our main like three benefits that we have on the website of why like working with us, working with online stores is because everyone has quality products. We can't all compete on quality products.
And great prices.
I mean, it's debatable, but like we
Yes.
all have quality products, so we can't debate on that. But we can, specialize in on-demand manufacturing, which the benefit to our clients is no inventory risk. And again, this is coming from a relatable story of being in the industry and having and still having thousands of dollars in apparel because we over-ordered to reach order minimums in 2XL and all the bigger sizes, and then he goes on a hiring spree and hires a bunch of high school students that wear mediums and smalls, and we had none of those. We had to do a whole nother order for that stuff anyway, and that inventory is still sitting in there. And it's been, I feel like 5 years at this point, and every shop owner can relate to that, and people within the industry and a lot of other industries. It's not like just related to the automotive industry of inventory risk. Any company that understands inventory knows what inventory risk is. And when you put it in those terms, on demand, that's just no brainer. And then you add in a fast turnaround, fast production time, which is just, thank you, Amazon, for kind of setting those expectations and free shipping. And then so getting exactly what you need when you need it. I think that's really all coming from, Amazon's influence.
I think it is. Nope, you're right. And that damn turnaround time, I'll tell you.
Oh, that turnaround time.
I get my custom shirt in 2 days. Like, oh, and
I mean, you could, but
I think you're in Pennsylvania. I'm in Ohio, and I'm getting slammed with snow, and I'm like, hey, Sandmar now has an early cutoff time. It gets kind of crazy, and yeah. So I never.
I have a lot of stuff delayed in shipping because of the snow. So it's always fun.
Well, Leah, I find you to be one of my favorite clients that I've worked with, just because, again, I think you have shown me, reminded me. I love consulting because I get to meet a lot of people, but just remind me why I love this industry and how you can be successful with it, how friendly it is, and if you just can stay focused. Don't do what I do. Just try everything, but if you focus, find that, and again, the cliche, find your niche, exploit it, find it and exploit it. Don't just, oh yeah, I'm good at that now, but I like this one too, and let's just go there. And again, that's what I did. And target, focus, and a lot of good things can come from these stores. I think if you're in our industry at this point, you have to be doing stores. It's just like promo. It's become expected. If you sell shirts, you know how to get me pens or something else. So and 10 years ago, that really wasn't the case, because it was just different with promo. Typically, you did apparel or you did promo. Now you do both.
Now it's anything they want to put their brand on is how we kind of put it. Sometimes that gets us in trouble, but it's the easiest way to sell it is anything you want to put your brand on, just think of me.
And not only that, your customers will think of you every time they see it, and so will your employees. So we could go on, Leah, but I really appreciate you joining us again. I hope everybody found this conversation helpful. Stores, ordering portals, they're awesome. You can make them turnkey, but if you focus on a specific group, a niche that you can relate to and communicate and streamline the setup process. I love what Leah said. Site should take you 15 minutes to an hour. If it's taking you longer than that, there better be a lot of potential. Otherwise, you could be just throwing away your time and money. Leah, Our Warehouse spelled
Yeah.
OURWEARHOUSC. I could never find it when I Googled because I just never
It's a
was.
little punny. It's a little
Yeah,
punny.
it's, it's fun. Well, thank you so much, Leah, and we'll have you on again sometime in the future.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Zach. This was fun.